There is a synthetic preservative inside most of the mustard sitting in your refrigerator right now. It is called calcium disodium EDTA. It was originally developed as an industrial chelating agent, a compound designed to bind and neutralize heavy metals. And today, it is sitting quietly in the fine print of some of the most trusted mustard brands in America. This is not a conspiracy theory. Flip the jar, read the fine print. It is right there on the label, buried after the ingredients that actually sound like food. Americans spend nearly $900 million on mustard every single year. That is $900 million going into brands that, in many cases, are selling you water, food starch, synthetic chemistry, and petroleum-derived dye. Inside a jar that says mustard. A jar you probably grabbed off the shelf without a second thought, because the label looked familiar and the brand name felt safe. Today we are auditing the mustard aisle from top to bottom. We found 6 brands you need to put back on the shelf and 3 that are actually made from real mustard. We will give you a test you can run on your own jar in the next 30 seconds. And we will tell you exactly which brands are worth your money. I spent 3 weeks auditing every mustard brand on the shelf to find the truth, and the results were not what I expected. Let's talk about what real mustard actually is. The recipe is almost insultingly simple. Mustard seed, vinegar, water, salt. That is it. Those 4 ingredients, combined in the right proportions, produce a condiment with a sharp, complex flavor that has been on dining tables for over 300 years. Here is the math reality. To make genuine Dijon mustard, you need brown mustard seed, white wine, and stone grinding equipment. The seed has to be sourced, cleaned, and cold ground to preserve its volatile compounds. The same compounds that give real mustard its heat, its depth, and its character. That process takes time and costs money. More money per jar than a corporation optimizing for quarterly margin wants to spend. So here's what they do instead. They start with water as the base ingredient, which is cheap. They add modified food starch to thicken it, which is cheaper than seed. They use xanthan gum for body and texture, which is industrially produced from a fermented sugar. They add calcium disodium EDTA to prevent the oils from separating and to extend shelf life to an almost unnatural length. And then, because the product is now too pale to look like mustard, they add yellow 5, a petroleum-derived artificial dye, or a synthetic turmeric extract that delivers color without real turmeric's cost. The end result looks like mustard. It smells approximately like mustard. It is legally called mustard. But the ingredient list tells a different story, and that is exactly the story we are here to read. The 6 brands to skip. Brand 1, French's Classic Yellow. French's calls itself America's #1 mustard. That is a market share statistic, not a quality claim. Flip the bottle on French's Classic Yellow and look at the ingredient list closely. You will find calcium disodium EDTA listed as a preservative. You will find natural flavors, a legal umbrella term that allows a company to mask low mustard seed content behind vague chemistry. The color in this jar comes primarily from turmeric extract and added coloring, not from whole mustard seed doing its natural job. You are paying for the brand recognition built over 100 years of advertising. The ingredient list is not the premium product the label implies. Brand 2, Heinz Yellow Mustard. Kraft Heinz committed in June of 2025 to removing FD and C artificial dyes from its United States portfolio. That sounds like progress. But here's what that announcement also tells you. Those artificial dyes were in the product to begin with. Older stock of Heinz yellow mustard still on store shelves may carry those artificial color additives. The natural flavors listing remains in the formula. Calcium disodium EDTA has appeared in this product's ingredient list. When the parent company has to issue a press release promising to remove a synthetic petroleum-based dye from its condiment line, that is a data point about the quality of what was in the jar before the announcement. Brand 3, Golden's Spicy Brown. Golden's leans hard into a heritage narrative. It has been around since 1867, and the branding communicates craftsmanship and tradition. But read the ingredient list on the current commercial formula. You will find modified food starch as a structural filler. You will find natural flavors operating as a catch-all. The texture of this mustard is not coming from a high concentration of mustard seed. It is coming from industrial thickeners. The word spicy and spicy brown is doing a significant amount of marketing work that the actual ingredient list does not fully support. Heritage on the label does not guarantee quality inside the jar. Brand 4, Great Value Yellow Mustard, Walmart. This is the budget private label play, and the ingredient list reflects it without apology. Water leads. Xanthan gum serves as the primary thickening agent. Calcium disodium EDTA is present as a preservative. Mustard seed does not appear until you are well past the first 3 ingredients. For families buying in bulk at the lowest price point, this product is everywhere. But what you are predominantly buying is thickened, dyed, preserved water, with enough mustard seed in the formula to satisfy the legal labeling requirement and nothing more. That is the honest version of what is in the jar. And the honest version matters when you are feeding your family every single day. Brand 5, Hunt's Honey Mustard. The word honey is doing enormous marketing work on this label. Turn it around. The primary sweetener in Hunt's honey mustard is high fructose corn syrup, not honey. High fructose corn syrup is a processed sweetener derived from cornstarch, engineered to be sweeter and cheaper than sugar and significantly cheaper than real honey. Artificial flavor compounds carry the rest of the flavor profile. You are paying a premium for a honey mustard product where honey is not actually doing the sweetening. That is the financial stake. That is the gap between the story on the front of the label and the reality on the back. Read the fine print before you buy the story. Brand 6, Wober's Sandwich Pal Mustard. Wober's is a food service staple, the kind of mustard that ends up in sandwich shops, school cafeterias, and institutional kitchens across the country. Away from the consumer-facing retail shelf, it operates below the radar of most ingredient scrutiny. But the formula relies heavily on modified starch, xanthan gum, and synthetic preservatives. The transparency that a retail consumer might demand simply has not been a commercial pressure in the food service channel. If you are eating out and reaching for the mustard packet, there is a reasonable chance it is this. The ingredient list is engineered entirely for cost and shelf life, not for real mustard flavor, and certainly not for you. Before you buy another jar of mustard, or before you walk to your refrigerator right now, here are 2 tests that take less than 30 seconds. The first 3 ingredients test. Turn the jar around, read the first 3 ingredients out loud. If mustard seed or vinegar is not listed within the first 3, put the jar down. What you're holding is primarily water, starch, or chemical you cannot pronounce. In a real mustard, mustard seed or vinegar is the first or second ingredient. Full stop. That is not a high bar. The fact that so many brands cannot clear it tells you everything you need to know about the priorities behind their formulas. The separation test. Set a jar of mustard on your counter and leave it undisturbed for 24 hours. Then look at the top of the jar without shaking it. Real mustard, made with minimal processing, will show a very slight ring of liquid separation at the top, because real mustard is not gelled into perfect uniformity. Industrial mustard, thickened with a xanthan gum or modified starch, will stay perfectly, unnervingly uniform from top to bottom. It has been engineered to never separate. That is not a quality signal, that is a chemistry signal. And now you know the difference. The 3 real brands. Brand 1, Maille Dijon Original. Maille was founded in Dijon, France in 1747. That is not a marketing line. That is nearly 300 years of making mustard the same way, with the same core philosophy. Real ingredients, no shortcuts. The ingredient list on Maille Dijon Original reads water, mustard seed, white wine, vinegar, salt. White wine is in the formula because that is how Dijon mustard is traditionally made. It is not a premium flourish, it is the method. There is no calcium disodium EDTA, no xanthan gum, no natural flavors operating as a flavor mask. The ingredient list is transparent because the product does not need to hide anything. At most major grocery retailers, a jar of Maille sits at a price point that is genuinely competitive with the industrial alternatives, for a product that is categorically different in quality. Brand 2, Primal Kitchen Organic Mustard. The entire ingredient list on Primal Kitchen Organic Mustard is 5 items long. Organic mustard seed, organic apple cider vinegar, water, sea salt, organic turmeric. That is it. Certified organic, non-GMO project verified. No synthetic preservatives, no artificial colors, No natural flavors acting as a chemical curtain. The turmeric in this formula is real turmeric, which is why the color is slightly more golden and less neon than the industrial yellow you may be used to seeing on the shelf. That color difference is not a flaw. That is the product doing its job with real ingredients. The way mustard was made before food scientists got involved. Primal Kitchen is available at most major health food retailers and increasingly at mainstream grocery chains nationwide. Brand 3, Annie's Organic Yellow Mustard. Annie's Organic Yellow Mustard is the value play in this audit, and it earns that title. It is USDA certified organic and non-GMO project verified. The ingredient list is clean: organic mustard seed, organic distilled white vinegar, water, organic turmeric, sea salt. 5 ingredients, every single one of them pronounceable. It is priced competitively at most major grocery chains, often within cents of the industrial brands sitting right next to it on the shelf, brands that cannot come close to matching it on ingredient quality. Annie's proved that a real mustard does not have to cost more. It just requires a brand that is not engineering every ingredient decision for maximum margin at the consumer's expense. That brand exists. It is sitting on the same shelf as the ones we told you to skip. Here's what the mustard aisle actually looks like once you know what you are reading. On one side, you have brands that start with water, add starch for body, pour in synthetic preservatives for shelf life, and use petroleum-derived dye for color, then charge you for the marketing budget they spent convincing you it is a quality product. On the other side, you have 3 brands with ingredient lists short enough to read in 10 seconds, made from actual mustard seed, real vinegar, and nothing they need to hide from you. The label on the front of the jar is the story they want to sell you. The ingredient list on the back is the truth. Those are 2 very different documents, and most people never read the second one. You just did. Your health is not a commodity for these corporations to optimize. You are not a margin calculation. And the next time you reach for a jar of mustard, you will know exactly what you are reaching for and exactly what you are not. If this investigation changed how you look at your condiment shelf, subscribe. Because this is one aisle of one grocery store. We are just getting started.